Hi everybody. So after we did the Ask a Leopard Owner Zoom call, which is produced by Leopard Catamarans, and you can see it on their YouTube page, some people asked us to go into some more detail about the things that we did to make this charter boat our home. So that's what this video is. We hope you enjoy it, and if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments.
Okay, so we're going to start at the top of telling you all the stuff that we did to the boat to make it our home, and we will work our way down. So we're going to start at the very top. So the very top is we put a radar on. It's a Raymarine Quantum Doppler radar. I don't have the exact model number, but it works great. We're very happy with it, especially if we're sailing at night. You can see little dots and blips, and that tells you if there's a boat coming. Yeah, that sounds terrible. Let's skip all that. So the first thing we did was we added a radar. Let's walk this way and see what we did in the stern of the boat. So the next thing we did up here is we added 4 solar panels. They're 350 watts each, which according to my excellent math skills is 1,400 watts of solar. Plus, we already had 200 watts of solar down there. So 1,400 plus 200 is 1,600 watts of solar without using a calculator. I did it all up here with the wind blowing and everything. That's pretty hard to do. A great solar arch. It helps protect the dinghy and gives us some shade in the back as well. So we're really happy with this. While we're back here, we also relocated our life raft. So the life raft was in a locker, an aft locker, which was virtually impossible to get out, especially if there was an emergency. And there's a lot of good storage down there. So we took the life raft out and we put it up right here. We got a cradle, got it all hooked up. If there's ever an emergency, we take it and we push it off the side over there. The line comes out, blows it up, and we're good. Hopefully we never have to use it. All right. Next we'll talk about our install of the Parasail blocks that we did, which we did all by ourselves, mostly 90% of it we did by ourselves. So we'll show you the Parasail blocks that we worked on. So we did 5 stacked blocks, and let me show you those. Also, we did a whole video on it. So if you want to go back to one of our videos, I think it's called Flying the Parasail. The first one is over here. This one was pretty easy to get to. What we had to do is there's a little panel up in there that we had to open up and kind of shove our hand in with a wrench and try to feel, because you couldn't see. It was just like a little opening. So we had to try to feel if we got the the bolt to bite. So we did it. So that wasn't so bad. The second one we did was over here. Again, we needed a really long extension ratchet, but that worked okay. The next one is over here, and this was definitely the easiest one to do, right, babe?
Yep.
This was definitely the easiest one to do. Very simple to get to this one. And then the other 2 are on the port side. Let's go to the port side. So the fourth one is this guy. This one was pretty easy also. It was just 1 ceiling panel. And then the last one was this guy. And that one was really hard to get to because we had to basically get a big ladder. We had to go up. There was 2 ceilings basically with holes in them, but the holes didn't match. So you couldn't get your hand up there to take the bolts off and put the new block on. So we had to basically cut some fiberglass so we can make it one big hole so we can get up there and shove that in. So these are our 5 blocks that we basically stacked. So the next thing is we did 2 stand-up blocks, and for that we had our fiberglass guy do it for us. But knowing what we know now, I think we could have done it ourselves. Maybe. Jeremy, you might disagree with me, but it is what it is.
Welcome to our, I don't know if you want to call it our back porch. It's a huge aft cockpit, and we spend most of our time outside having meals out here, and of course we sail from up there, our Helm Station. We did some enclosure things, if you want to call it that, back here to make it more livable. We added this called Strataglass. We basically have a complete enclosure back here if we need it. We have a piece that runs all the way across from that zipper to right by the wheel, and that adds a lot of security to our boat when we're sailing overnight, because nobody's going to fall out that side. If you need to get to the front for whatever reason, you're not just going to run out there. So it adds a lot of security. So we're very, very happy with that. One of the other things that we did was we added these shades. This is a shade cover, but we have the shades on the sides to help keep the sun out. It really, really keeps the temperature down. You know, that sun can get very, very hot here. So we have shades on all sides. We didn't add shades to the back. We had shades already. They just attach back here with bungees, and they work really well. There was nothing wrong with them, so we decided to keep them. But we did add these covers so that it would match all the way around. There are a few little things that make living aboard a boat easier. The hell is that? Oh, it's a giant stingray.
Giant stingray.
Wow.
Hi, Mr. Stingray. Thanks for visiting us while we're filming.
The timing couldn't be better.
Oh, he's got his little fish friend with him. Bye, Mr. Stingray. And your friends, your fish friends. Okay, so where were we?
Before we were so pleasantly interrupted by that giant stingray and his fish friends. I was talking about this. This is just a gear net, and I've seen in a lot of YouTube videos, people are putting fruits and vegetables out here. We have a lot of storage inside, but I like it, and I put mangoes in here. Not mangoes, I'm allergic to mangoes. I like it, and I put the avocados in here. So we'll put something else in there. Okay, let's talk about this. Right before we left for this trip, we got our scuba certifications. So we had this dive rack installed, and it's great. It actually holds 4 tanks. We only have 2. So we have room for fins.
It holds 4 what?
Tanks.
You're welcome.
Oh, that was funny.
Thank you.
So we use one for fins and one for our masks. You never know when you're going to need extra line, so we tie extra line back here. And this is our bison cooler. It's great for when we have guests on board. We can put all of our drinks, fill this with ice, and then they can stay out of the refrigerator.
The Helm Station, my favorite place on the boat, because that means we're sailing. We added our Strata-Glass enclosure, so the whole thing is enclosed with Strata-Glass. We can take it off, we can roll it up. We have a section down here which basically encloses the whole cockpit, so we're totally not exposed to the weather at all while we're sailing, unless we want to be, and we can roll everything up. There's also sunshades on all sides except for the front, of course, so we have got sunshades up here, across, and in the back. The next thing I want to talk about is the electronics that we did up here. And the first thing is we changed our 9-inch Raymarine MFD to a 12-inch Raymarine MFD. So much better, there's lots of space for it. So we have a bigger chart plotter basically. Attached to the chart plotter, we added AIS, which did not come with the boat. We had just Catamarans run a second coax cable up the mast. So we actually have 2 coax cables now, one specifically for the AIS, one specifically for the VHF. The new coax is a little bit stronger supposedly, it's a little bit better quality, so we're pretty happy with that. Our AIS works great, our VHF radio works great, and we can use them at the same time. I use my iPad as a secondary chart plotter. I have Navionics on my iPad. I have a waterproof case from Armor X, and I also got a stand over here. So basically this is all hooked up, and I just hook my iPad right up to this, so I have the chart plotter here and my iPad there, so I've got 2 things I can look at while we're sailing. If you recall, in one of our videos we broke this triple clutch. We blew this whole side out. That's in one of our videos. We'll go back and watch that. We replaced this triple clutch, and then for our Parasail, the last 2 things we had to do was add double clutches. So we have a port side and a starboard side double clutch, and these are necessary to fly the Parasailer. One is for the starboard sheet and guy, and the other is for the port sheet and guy. So the next thing we'll talk about is our lines. A lot of times people get the boat, they're not happy with the factory lines, so they replace them all right away. We decided to keep them because they were working well for us for the most part, but we did replace a few. So this one was our main halyard. We decided to replace it. We thought it was necessary to replace because the other halyard was bigger and it was always getting caught in the clutch. So every time we dropped the main, it would have a hard time coming down. So we decided to replace it with a smaller 11mm Dyneema blend line. So our main halyard is now a little smaller and much stronger. And the main sheet comes down much faster now. We're much happier that we did this. Here, the only thing else we replaced was our spinnaker halyard. We actually replaced this ourselves. Adrian did an awesome splicing job, and she spliced the end of the old halyard to this new one, and we replaced our spinnaker halyard. Also a Dyneema blend line, and this is what we use to fly our Parasailer. The only other line that we replaced was one of our main sheets. I had to replace one of our main sheets because I broke it. I tore it accidentally. Long story. In this cheat block, it got caught, and I pulled it too hard, and it ripped the line. So we replaced one of our main sheets as well, and it's a really pretty blue. It matches my eyes. This is the main reason why we got that. So the last two things we did up here, if you see me sitting very comfortably, is because we replaced the padding of our helm seat. The helm seat that comes from the factory is horrible. It's a thin padding and it really hurts my butt. This is very comfortable. I can do this all day long. It's really good. And the other thing we did up here was we added a footrest. So this comes down, that comes up, and our feet are up here. So now, instead of our feet dangling, it's very uncomfortable, we have a really awesome footrest. Thank you, John Brault. You are the awesomest, and we are very happy to have this. And I know he got it done for us really quickly, so we appreciate the effort.
Meet Mahalia.
I'm zooming in on Mahalia.
I know, I'm going to wait till you're done zooming.
Okay.
Mahalia is a hand-carved Bahama Mama with the Pharaoh hairdo. She's carved out of wild tamarind wood, and JR the wood carver carved her, and I fell in love with her. I knew Jeff would too, for two reasons that are quite obvious. And the first thing I thought of when I was trying to name her was Mahalia Jackson, and I love gospel music, so meet Mahalia.
And I love it because just some things just remind you of home, and just Mahalia just really reminds me of my mom. Just kidding, Mom. She doesn't really remind me of you.
Oh, that's sick. The boat came with these cushions, but they were very flimsy and they were thin. So when we had our canvas work done, we added these back cushions and we added another layer of cushion to the inside here, just to give them some more texture, to firm them up a little bit, hopefully make them last a little longer. But we're very happy with them. They're very comfortable, makes it a lot more livable out here. Let's talk about this refrigerator. When you purchase a boat through the Moorings Charter Program, you have options of either a bareboat or a crewed yacht, and we've talked about that before. This boat was a crewed yacht, so we had a captain and a chef who lived on it. The crewed yachts are supposed to come with this outdoor refrigerator. The bareboats don't. Our boat didn't come with it. It was just a mistake. So they shipped it to us afterwards and we installed it. But the super nice thing about this is refrigeration is very difficult on a boat. You have to constantly defrost. Everything is always getting wet. And so when we have guests on board, we really like to keep them out of our main refrigerator as much as possible. So we put all of our salad dressings and condiments and sodas and yogurt and all that kind of stuff in here so they can come get it.
What she really means is a lot of beer in there.
There's a lot of beer in here?
Yes.
And beer. There's beer in here.
It's mostly beer.
Mostly beer. So we use this a lot. We even use it for ourselves, you know, for drinks and things, so that we don't have to go in the refrigerator any more than necessary also. So this was a great addition, and then having the cooler when you have more than just, you know, 2 other guests is a big deal. These little guys up here, they're called Pirate Lights, and this is a sensor for them. We have 3 Pirate Lights on board, and a siren, and it's a security measure. It doesn't require Wi-Fi, which is great, and we can set it, we usually set it when we leave the boat to go out for dinner or something like that, and when you come back on board, the lights all come on super bright, and then you can set it for alarm mode too, so it senses body heat. It doesn't sense motion because you get birds and everything flying around. So when we set the alarm, I forgot what the decibels are, but it's some loud screeching alarm. But we've never had to use it. We tried it once just to make sure it worked, and it was pretty loud.
I installed Ring doorbells, so we have one in the aft and one forward, and it works really well when we have Wi-Fi. So when we have Wi-Fi, we can, or cell service, we can turn those on. We could use that. So like when we were in Key West, for example, I'll just show you and I'll talk.
Okay.
Because you're beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
When we were in Key West, this was anchored out about a couple miles away. But as we're walking around Key West, I can look on my phone and I can just see I can see forward and aft and see that the boat was still anchored where it was supposed to be.
And see that nobody's on the boat who shouldn't be there.
Yeah. So it's very helpful, but you need Wi-Fi and or cell service, and it gets a little bit expensive with the cell service because it's a lot of data going back and forth,
right?
Which we learned. Anyway,
okay, that's enough of that.
That's our Wi-Fi.
I wanted to talk about these. These are luminAID lights. I actually saw these on Shark Tank.
Really?
Yeah, I did. They're super cool. They inflate, and there are LED lights underneath. And of course, you can see they have a solar cell on the top. And you charge them all day, and there are a lot of anchorages where maybe you're here by yourself, or maybe there's a lot of traffic, and we're only required to have a light at the top of the mast while we're anchored overnight. But it's way up there. It's 70 feet up there. We want people to see the boat, so we have 2 of these. We charge them during the day. We hang this one at the bow, and we have another one that we hang aft. We always hoist our dinghy, which is not hoisted at the moment, but the dinghy davits are up here, and that hangs down, and they glow, and they're very, very bright. So it does 2 things for us. One, it illuminates the boat so that people aren't going to hit the bow or the stern, but it also helps us identify our boat in a crowded anchorage when we're coming back at night after dinner and maybe a few drinks.
Well, we hope it's just not going to prevent people from hitting the boat.
No, but it'll help light it up so that hopefully they won't hit it.
Right.
Right. So I like these. These are cool.
Shout out to luminAID Pacific PackLite Nova USB, whatever that means.
I bought this. Oh, you can charge it via USB if you don't have a lot of sunlight or anything.
Oh, we're in the Bahamas. We got a shit ton of sunlight.
And we got these from a company called Landfall. We also got, what did we get from them? Oh, we got our dinghy lights from them too. We should talk about that at some point. But yeah, and we got a really cool first aid kit from them. So shout out to Landfall. We like you. While we're back here, I want to talk about our steps. You call them John steps?
Yeah, because
John Brault made them.
Yes.
Right, okay.
John named them. She named them after himself.
He named, okay. So you can see the swim platform is much lower than the side deck. And if you don't have floating docks at the marina, there's a lot of space between here and here. It's very difficult to step over this from a dock. And you never know where the dock's going to be, right? It could be way up here, it could be way down there. And there was nowhere to step to get on the boat. So we added these little steps. I know it's small, but it's actually a great size, and it makes getting on and off the boat much easier.
That was just a demo, because if you did that, you'll fall into the ocean.
Yeah. But we put one of these on each side.
That was just a demo step.
Right, it was a demo step. But we put one on each side, and we're very, very happy that we did, because we use them all the time. So let's talk batteries. This boat came with 3 200 amp hour lead acid batteries. I forgot the brand name, it's not important. But we talked to so many other cruisers about power usage and power requirements, and we decided to go with lithium for a couple of reasons. 1, the batteries are a lot lighter. 2, they charge a lot faster. And 3, you can actually run them down almost to 0% and they'll come right back. With the lead acid battery, you really only get about 50% of the battery before you have to charge it back up again. They were expensive, but they're they're really important in making life aboard livable. So we replaced them with 300 amp hour batteries from Relion, and we have we wanted to add a fourth battery, but when you're dealing with lithium, you have to have even runs. So in order to add the fourth battery, we would have had to take one out of here, make a new bank on this side for the two, so we had 2 equal runs, and we would have had to have done major rewiring. We would have lost a lot of storage space inside. And Laurent from Just Cats said, you don't really need it, live a year without it and see before you make that decision. So that's what we're doing. We're living without it. We're finding that we can run our air conditioner for our bedroom all night just off the batteries. So that's a big deal because it's hot, it's buggy, and we want to be comfortable. So that's what we have at the moment. We're going to live with it for the rest of the year, and if we just decide we need more, then we'll figure it out then. But they're sitting here underneath my seat. Can't really show them to you, but
They're just batteries.
they're just batteries.
Kind of boring. Okay, so a few of the things we did to the boat. On the outside, we put in a rub rail, which is really cool, really helpful, especially the way I dock. I tend to bump into a lot of things. I'm just kidding. I don't really bump into things that often. So we put a rub rail in. We replaced our moorings stripes on the side of the boat. They're kind of in the gel coat. So what we did was we put like a covering on top of it and made one big silver stripe, and we put our logo on. Let's take a look at it since we're here. So those are rubber rails we put on. They're very nice. And we also added this like silver stripe. This is in moorings, basically puts a red and a blue stripe on, which we don't love. Oh, if you see over there, by the way, I waxed that part of the boat. I haven't waxed this part of the boat yet this month, so I'm working on that, so it's a little bit dirty. But here's our rubber rails. They go always down there. There's our stripe. And then, while we're here, I'll show you our favorite, what we did. Our Wind Therapy logo. Wind Therapy. It's our own special font. And that's our boatercycle. It's a motorcycle morphing into a sailboat. Moorings gave us a Delta 55 stainless anchor, which is really pretty, and it works well, but we wanted something different, so we got a Rockna 73. I was going to show you the anchor, but I realized just now that we're actually anchored. But I can show you the anchor because it's right there. I guess maybe it's hard to see. So that's our rub rails. Ow, it's hot. That's our rub rails and our stripe and our logo. The Teak Decking, by the way, which they only put on, the Teak Decking they only put on crude yachts. Otherwise the bare boats have just the white, like what's like below you right there. But it's nice, and it's pretty, but it gets hot as hell. So the new versions they have are much lighter, which are less hot, but these are really, really hot. Is this thing on?
I was waiting for you to do something like that.
Want me to stay out of your way?
Only if you want to.
Okay.
We made a few changes in the galley, not much. We put these door handles on. This is our garbage bin, and you used to have to pull from here and pick it up with your foot to open it. It's very hard to open. So we put handles on that so we can open the trash, and this is where we keep all of our dishes. We also absolutely hated the faucet that came with the boat, so I got my plumber's license. Not really, I just did this. But I did it. We put the new faucet in. The propane oven that came with the boat is a good size, but I find that it's very difficult to regulate the temperature for this oven. The other problem with it is it vents the heat into the spice drawer. So we bought an electric oven because we have all these solar panels, so we can replenish the electricity. So we bought this Breville oven, and it does air frying and dehydrating and all this kind of stuff, and we haven't used it for everything yet, but I really like it. It's a bit of an energy hog, so I can't use, I can't boil water in my electric tea kettle when that's on. Otherwise I pop a breaker, but we're going to install a second Victron 3000 watt inverter when we get back to just catamarans, and that should solve that problem. So we have that. We also have this portable ice maker. We bought it we're not big ice people, but we knew that some of our guests were, and it worked out great. We just said farewell to 4 friends who were with us for a week, and this sucker was cranking out ice all day long for 7 days. It's an Ikich. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but I got it on Amazon and it really works great. When we got the boat, this cabinet right here just had one door, single door, hinged right about here. So when you opened the door all the way, you couldn't get to anything back here. You had no idea what was back there. And we thought, well, it's kind of a lot of money to make these double doors. We'll just put stuff back there that we don't use very often. But after sailing it back from the BVI, we were living on board for 5 weeks. That's just really stupid. Pay the money and do this. So we had Just Cats put the double doors on, and it's worked out great for us. We store all kinds of things in here. One of my other pet peeves is electronic power charging cords all over the place. I hate looking at that. I can't stand cords everywhere. So our kids, for Hanukkah last year, bought us this charging station. So now we have, iPads and phones and camera batteries and things like that, and they're sitting in here so it's nice and clean. Just like that. This is our soda stream. We drink lots of club soda. We squeeze a lemon in it, a lime, some grapefruit, whatever, so we make our own flavored club soda, so you don't have to buy cans of LaCroix or all those ones. If we want, root beer or Coca-Cola or something like that, we just buy that. We don't have a lot of that on board because we're not big into that, but we wanted to be able to not buy as many cans, and certainly not the plastic bottles. So we use this all the time. It's great. So the purpose of this video is to show you how we turned this charter boat into our home. And there are a few things that I absolutely love that we did. They were totally worth the money. And this next room is, I think, the #1 creature comfort that doesn't have to do with technology. So come on down, I'll show you. Welcome to our laundry room / utility room / closet. We needed more storage space, and I wanted a place to do laundry, and we needed some more refrigeration. So we had Just Catamarans take the bed out of here. That was here. It took up this entire space. These are the supports for the bed. And they didn't take that out because it just wasn't cost effective for the space we would have gotten. But they built us this amazing chest of drawers. We got all these drawers out of it. We got a laundry hamper out of it. If I were to do it again, I would make this smaller, maybe cut it here and get another drawer, because this washing machine doesn't hold that much. So when this is full, it's about 7 loads. But there's one thing in here that we're really proud of. One drawer. Well, we're proud of all of the drawers, but there's one thing that we're very proud of. Which one is it? It's this one, right? Okay, so, Jeff has that whole 3-tiered laundry system, and he needed to change that when we got on the boat. So I taught him how to fold his shirts and clothes, and yeah, so this is worth being proud of. Honey, I'm very proud of you.
Thanks, baby.
You're welcome, because this is amazing, and it's an enormous drawer. You can get all kinds of stuff in here. And
for a boat, that's a really great storage. Yeah, it's amazing storage.
I have one drawer in here, which, okay, Jeff got all the rest, but that's okay. And we have hanging storage over here. So this used to just be 2 big shelves, and it wasn't really functional. We couldn't really put anything in them. And so we had Just Cats take the shelves out and put in these nice 3 drawers, and we still have some shelf space up here. Washer dryer, it's an all-in-one unit. It doesn't hold a whole lot, I can put in 2 sheets and maybe 3 pillowcases. No blankets, no towels, they just don't dry. But it's fine for our clothes and fine for the sheets if I don't have a laundromat. Let's talk about our Dometic what is it? CFX 75, I think is what it is. A lot of the Dometics that were smaller have a single lid on top, opens like this, and we didn't have the vertical clearance to do that, so we needed to get one with the shorter tops on it, and this is the one that was available. It's awesome. It has 2 separate sides in it, so right now this is a freezer, this is a refrigerator, but you can make them both freezer, both refrigerator if you choose to.
Okay.
We found a perfect little spot for our vacuum cleaner, so that just comes right in and out of there. So that's always charging. It's not in anybody's way, and you always know where it is. Hats. We have a lot of hats on the boat, and they were all over the place, just laying all over the place. So we got these little clips, hung them up, and now all of our hats are hanging nicely. And then down here, this bilge was already here, so they built this so that we could still access it. And this is our tool bilge. So all of our tools are in here: nuts, bolts, scrapers, tape, anything in a tube, knee pads.
If you give just catamarans a shit ton of money, they give you a bag.
They give you a bag.
Just catamarans bag.
That we can use for all of our extension cords. Yeah. So that's good. All of our tools fit in there. The ones that we use on a regular basis, we keep upstairs. So that is our laundry room / utility room. One of my favorite rooms in the house.
So it enabled us to basically have an owner's side where we kept both heads, so we have his and her heads, and we have this amazing extra room which we can use to fold laundry, do laundry, store food,
get dressed,
keep all our clothes here. So it's just an amazing addition, which is our favorite part of the boat as far as all the additions that we've done.
Yeah, when we tell people that we've done something like this, a lot of them say, well, what did you do with the extra bathroom? And we didn't do anything with it. The heads on the 4-cabin version, while they are adequate in size, yeah, they're a little bit smaller, and if you were to buy the owner's version of this boat, from here on is just one big bathroom. And yes, it's beautiful, but I would rather have all of this storage and workspace and have my own bathroom.
Right.
So we like his and hers bathrooms. So that worked really great for us.
Let's talk communications. We have a number of things that we added, but first we got to get Mahalia right over there because she's really important when we talk about communications.
Turn her. There you go.
Mahalia. Okay, so first thing we got was Iridium Go. This is pretty cool, and what it does is kind of like a satellite connector. So this is kind of really tightly coupled with Predict Wind. So when we're not near Wi-Fi or cell service, I can use this to download weather. It downloads it right to the Predict Wind app, and it gives us all the grid files and all the cool stuff. But I can also use it as a satellite phone. So it emits basically a Wi-Fi, comes out of this, and then we have an app on my phone and my iPad where we can make satellite calls. So that's really cool also. So it gives me some weather, it gives me basic email, which is not really that good, so I don't use it for that. It gives us satellite calls, and also it tracks us through the Predict Wind app. So this pings out to the cloud every 30 minutes, which goes to the Predict Wind app, which is for our site, and we have on our website, svwindtherapy.com. Basically, you can track us at all times, so you'll see where we are, where we've been, how fast we're going at the moment. So Iridium Go, very good. As backup, we also have Garmin InReach. So this is good for weather. So it gives us basic weather. So it says like every 4 hours it gives you how much wind you'll have in your area. This is also satellite, and it also lets us text people. So we use this as backup, and I use this every once in a while as well. So Garmin InReach, so some people use it as their primary, I use it as my backup. So that's for weather. As far as communications go, besides our VHF on the boat, we also have a portable VHF. So this is really good in your dinghy. You should always take this with you if something happens and you're getting sucked out to sea, and no one wants to get sucked out to sea. It's very terrible. So if you get sucked out to sea and you have this, you can call for help. So this is a radio. This is a West Marine one, and the battery, it was charging and the battery won't charge anymore, so piece of garbage. So I don't know if it's the radio or the battery, but I've only used this for like less than a year, and the battery is completely dead and it won't charge. So we got to take it back to West Marine and see if they'll help us get a new battery. But this is important to have. We also have walkie-talkies. So we have this one and this one. So we have walkie-talkies, so if we're out on land or we're with some friends, we can walkie-talkie each other, and that way the whole world is not listening to us on the VHF. We also have these things called marriage savers. I hate that term. These are okay. We don't use them that often. We just generally yell, and people think we're screaming at each other, but we're not. We're just talking loudly so we can hear each other. So a lot of people use these all the time. We don't use them very much at all. iPads. iPads are invaluable. So I bought an iPad and we use this, and I have Navionics installed on this. So it's a backup for my Chartplotter, and we can basically plot routes, and it's got extra things. It's got active captain, so while we're sailing I can hit a button and it'll give me like a review of the anchorage. This is the first iPad I bought, and I didn't buy the iPad with the cellular service attached to it. This is the non-cellular iPad, and I discovered while we were sailing that since this doesn't have the cellular chip in it, it doesn't track you. So Navionics was virtually worthless on this iPad. So I got this iPad. So I got two iPads now, one's backup. So this is the one I keep at the Helm Station, but then I'll take this one without the cell service, and I'll hook it up to my Raymarine, and it acts like a Chartplotter. Basically, it mirrors the Raymarine, but you can also use it, so it's active. So we'll sit up front and have lunch while we're sailing, and I can just use this to steer and look at where we're going. So it's basically, it's a mirror copy of the Raymarine Chartplotter, and I can keep it on this iPad. So two iPads are good. Redundancy. What do you think? She agrees. Mahalia agrees. That's it. Oh, one more thing. The biggest thing. So we installed, when I talked about it earlier, we installed a Rogue Wave MBR 550. It's a Wi-Fi booster and a cell phone booster. What we did was we put a SIM card in it. So the SIM card, I have a Google-Fi SIM card, but I also have a Bahamas SIM card for BTC, and I just switch them out. So I put a BTC SIM card in it, for example. When we got to the Bahamas, it gives me 15 gigs. So when we're sailing, if we have Wi-Fi, like if we're close to a marina or something where we can get Wi-Fi, it'll use that and then transmit it to the rest of the boat. If we don't have Wi-Fi, it'll fail over to the cell phone, the cell SIM card. So then we'll have Wi-Fi in the boat, not via someone else's Wi-Fi, but via a cell tower, and we're using our own gigs. So that's really cool to have also. It's been working pretty well for us. The cell booster broke, and it was over a year old, just over a year old, but we talked to Wave, and they came in and they let us replace for free, so it was really nice of them. So pretty good service. And if I ever have a problem, because it gets a little complicated, I call them and they'll talk me through it. So they're very, very helpful. So that is our communications stuff. So we didn't miss anything, so that's all for communications. Okay, go.
So there are just a few more things that we wanted to talk about. There's a lot of storage under all of these cushions, and we have it filled with all kinds of things, and we were storing canned goods and other foods in here, but it was really difficult to get to. You have to take this entire cushion off. Then you have to take this entire cushion off, and then you can see inside. So we made this change. We call this our pantry door, and Just Catamarans did this for us. So basically they cut a big access panel in here. We put these little light in, there's one on the other side too. And we store all of our food that we get to on a regular basis. All of this is Jeff's snack stuff, his Pop-Tarts, granola bars, candy, chips, that kind of thing. And then all of this is my cereal, but all this is stuff that I cook with on a regular basis.
I don't understand how any of that stuff works, but I understand how the Pop-Tarts work.
I know, and you're running out. This is all you have left.
I know.
Thank God. That's kind of scary.
Thank God they sell Pop-Tarts in Bahamas.
Yeah. So, anyway, so that's our pantry. And I love this. I'm so glad that we did this. There's one other thing that we did that was very important. Well, we felt like it was important. Come into the bathroom, I'll show you. We're going to get intimate now. So all of the heads on this boat came with saltwater flush, meaning that there's a through hull and it draws up salt water out of the sea to flush the toilets. It's fine when you're out at sea or if you're in a place where the water is great and clean like the Bahamas, but when you're in a marina or in some other places like on the west coast of Florida, the water is really gross and you don't want to have that disgusting water come up through your toilets. The whole thing's going to smell. So we put in a salt and freshwater flush toggle switch. So depending on where we are, we can have it on salt water or freshwater. Freshwater is great. It's always clean, but you use your fresh water. So salt water saves a lot of water.
That's it.
That's it.
The last upgrade we wanted to mention was our prop upgrade. We purchased Max Props feathering props, and we've noticed that they've added about 1 to 1.5 knots of speed while we're sailing. We think these need more explanation, so we're going to go into that more in a future video, but we absolutely love them, and they are totally worth the money we spent on them. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or want to give us any constructive criticism, please leave them in the comments. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, and thanks for watching.